All right, so let's get the WSL installed on this Windows machine since we're here, and let's try and use Hugging Face and all that through the Windows subsystem. So first thing we have to do is set up WSL. So you want to go to the control panel here. I've already done that, and you just type it in the search here, control panel. There it is. And you want to go to programs, and you want to turn Windows features on or off, and it's going to come here. So we want to enable that, and we want to hit OK, and it's going to apply the changes. Okay, so we need to reboot, and we'll go ahead and reboot and come back. All right, we'll go ahead and open up PowerShell here, and we don't need to run it as an administrator, I don't think, but we should just in case. And we'll go ahead and let it add changes. Thank God. All right. And then we will go ahead and WSL dash install. And right. So the arguments are running WSL. Okay, so just looking at the help or the man, I don't know what you call this in Windows. It looks like it wants me to specify a version or a distribution. So I'm going to try -d ubuntu, and there we go. It looks like it's going. That sucks because Windows doesn't say that. And then it says you'll need to restart your machine during this installation process. That is true, but this is why, I mean, all right, so there we go. Here's the terminal window that we'll be using, and do some other stuff. It's an entirely separate system. It's your own thing. It's not really, it's like having a separate operating system. It's entirely separate. So you want to set a username, and we're just going to go with the usual xtech, and the password is going to be extremely secret. There's no possible way you could figure that one out. And we're doing 22.04. Nice. I'd like to see. So, okay. Looks like we're good here. We should. Cool. So we got Git. It's going to tell us to sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade. Just like, oh, man, we're just back in. Dude, like, it's just, oh man, I really don't like Windows. It's just too many things that doesn't just work. Like it doesn't. OS X just works kind of. Even then it doesn't. But for programs and programming, Windows takes more resources and more time to get things working than Linux does. So people are like, oh, Linux doesn't just work. You got to try to use it. What are you, stupid? No, Linux really does just work. And when things go wrong, it's your own fault. It's because you forgot something, you didn't have a package right. It's Windows. I have no idea what's going on with Windows. Something like there's so many different back and forth. It's just a mess. It's a real mess. I don't like it, but I'm not used to it. And I need to, I got to be able to use Windows a little bit. So we'll go ahead and let this install, and we can go ahead and close PowerShell now. Okay, and you'll see we ls and there's nothing in here. We cd and we're in home. Home doesn't exist. It's an actual Windows subsystem. None of this exists on a Linux subsystem. None of this exists in Linux, but we can cd into the mnt, and I believe these are the drives. So these are the drives that we have: C, D, E, and F, and we can go into program files, and local disk is C as it should be, and we can cd into C here, and now we're in Windows again. The Linux subsystem is completely separate. All this stuff is completely separate. So don't think that you'll be able to easily access your files. You will, but you just have to go to the where the disk drive location. It's not in your home. Your home and your desktop is not the same desktop. So we do have a desktop here. At least we should. Oh, we don't. There's literally nothing in here. So there we go. Okay, so some basics here. The actual subsystem files are on your local disk C. You're going to go to users, user, and it should be an app data, local, and then it's going to be called, user, app data, local packages, and then canonical group limited. It should be this name for everybody. Not sure why they went with that. Terrible name. Windows. Anyway, and then local state, and then the root FS. And I think that's root file system. That'd be my guess. And there you go. You got the boot dev, etc, home, and we go to the xtech, and there's everything in there. That's just the bash RC. You can set the source and all that kind of stuff here. Just regular thing. things that are in a regular Linux system. The main net is where all the drives are, or the mount. I'm sorry, the mount, the opt. We got that. You know, everything's here. So that's where everything gets saved. But again, it is on your C drive, so you're not getting any extra space, obviously. Okay, so it looks like we got Python. We're doing Python 3 now. They got the Python 3. Wow, we're lacking here. Python 3 is Python. You can run that if you just want to not have to type in Python 3. And you'll see that here. Python is Python 3, and that'll switch that up for you. It's up to you. It's up to you. I'm gonna leave it here on my actual separate system on my other hard drive. I did run that, and that's why I just type in Python. So we got that. Let's see if we got pip. All right, so we don't have pip. We can go ahead and sudo apt install python 3-pip. I think I typed that in wrong. I'll go ahead and continue. And again, this is a separate system, but it's still on the same hard drive. So we're not, you don't get any new space, obviously. So we're still on the same hard drive. It's just a separate system. This should still be, it's installing to the C drive, I believe. Okay, and let's try NVIDIA SMI, see if we have access to that. All right, so we don't. So we are going to need to set up CUDA toolkit through here, and I think that's probably important, so we'll go ahead and do that next. All right, so there's actually a few things that we should do first. We can try Docker, but we're not. First thing we're going to do is set up this WSLG, and that's going to give us some GUI functionality. GUI being just the visual stuff that's outside of the terminal, the graphical user interface. So we're going to go with that, and then we're going to do probably the PyTorch DirectML, and then we'll also install Anaconda's Miniconda, just because it's a smaller version of Anaconda, and it doesn't install all of the things that Anaconda normally would. Like, I think it won't do the navigator and some other things like that. But we might just install full Anaconda because we are going to get this GUI set up, which is going to let us use either Wayland or Xorg or something. What do we got? Oh, both. Okay. People say that we should switch to Wayland. I've really only used X11 and X server applications. So let's get started with that. We're going to start with this. So there's actually a few things that we should do first. We can try Docker, but we're not. First thing we're going to do is set up this WSLG, and that's going to give us some GUI functionality. GUI being just the visual stuff that's outside of the terminal, the graphical user interface. So we're going to go with that, and then we're going to do probably the PyTorch DirectML, and then we'll also install Anaconda's Miniconda, just because it's a smaller version of Anaconda, and it doesn't install all of the things that Anaconda normally would. Like, I think it won't do the navigator and some other things like that. But we might just install full Anaconda because we are going to get this GUI set up, which is going to let us use either Wayland or Xorg or something. What do we got? Oh, both. Okay. People say that we should switch to Wayland. I've really only used X11 and X server applications. So let's get started with that. We're going to start with this. All right. So first thing we all want to do to make sure we're on the same page is you can do this from CMD or PowerShell, but go ahead and run it as an administrator. Run it as an administrator, and then go ahead and do this WSL-list-v. And you can see that we are running version 1, which is not good. Set version Ubuntu 2. Okay. Wait a few minutes for information about it. Please enable virtual machine platform Windows feature and ensure. Okay, so I forgot to enable Hyper-V, even though I am pretty confident that I have enabled virtual machine virtualization in BIOS because I needed it for something on Ubuntu. But you also have to enable Hyper-V, and hopefully that should help us. And I'm not sure if we need to reboot, so we do need to reboot. All right, so that should save us. Okay, so what we've done, and unfortunately I didn't record it, but we did rebooted the system, set up the after setting up Hyper-V. We set the version to Ubuntu 2. It took a couple minutes, and it successfully switched over, and now we are running WSL2. I sudo apt installed GIMP. But here, we'll try another one. Sudo apt install Nautilus-y, and we can open back up the C here, go to users, user, app data, local, and I believe it was packages, canonical, local state. Oh, right, because it's in use here. So interesting. All right, so app data. If there's not, that's not for. Yeah. Well, cool. So let's see what happens when we run Nautilus. Cool. There we go. This is the the classic file explorer. Home is empty. That's weird. Up and it okay, kind of freaked out a little bit. We want to go outside of home though. Right. Okay. It's a little bit slow. And let's go to the bin. And cool, we do have C++ there. GCC, cool. And G++, GCC again. And GIMP. So we got GIMP here. That's what I installed earlier. So there we go. It's all in here and we're all good to go. So let's continue. Okay, so we're going to go back to the Learn Microsoft Docs here and get started with GPU acceleration for ML and WSL. We're going to skip Docker for right now because I'm not really looking for that. But what we are going to do is get Miniconda. We're going to set it up to work within our subsystem here, and then we're going to go we're going to make a new environment. They're going with DirectML to contain both TensorFlow and PyTorch, and I think that is good enough. So I think we'll do the same thing. So let's get Anaconda here and go from there. Okay, so we're going to wget the run file for Miniconda very quick, and then we're just going to run, I assume this is, just the install file, the bash file, and we'll go ahead and hit enter. And you have to hit enter a bunch. And this is Miniconda, so it's basically Anaconda, but without all the initial packages and whatnot that get installed normally, and none of the GUI tools, none of the navigator stuff. Just Conda packages and just Conda, Python, the packages they depend on. And pip. It also comes with pip, which is nice, zlib, and a few others. So go ahead. I think y alone just works. No, it doesn't. So yes. All right, cool. So now Exodus Tech Miniconda. So is that where we want to install it? I would think that I would want it to install inside the bin. I feel like this will cause a lot of problems, because if we install it in here, then all of the environments that I create will also be outside of my they'll be on. Oh no, that is right. Home, I'm sorry. Home is the this is the root. This is actually in the subsystem. Okay, I have this, and my username on Windows is actually just user. So yeah, we do want to confirm this location. That's pretty good, and we're good to go. And yep, we do want to run Conda in it. That's gonna just start you with Conda. Okay, so okay. So it looks like we're good. So we'll just go ahead and close and reopen this, and should be ready to rock. All right, so I think we'll keep everything the same. We'll go with DirectML just so that we have a specific environment for this DirectML package that supposedly allows you to use any GPU with PyTorch and TensorFlow. However, we are using an NVIDIA GPU, so I don't really see what the benefit is for this, but it's recommended, and at this point, I think doing the recommended steps may possibly be the way to do things. So next, we are going to need to download the drivers here, and the latest 3090 driver is compatible with the 3080 and the 980, which is what we have, and we can confirm that with NVIDIA-SMI. Can't even read it, so we'll go NVIDIA-SMI-L, I believe, and that's good. The 9060 and the 3060, and the 9060 and the 3060. So we're good to go. Let's go ahead and install this driver. So I don't really know all the details here, but the CUDA page says that the driver installed on Windows host will be stubbed inside the WSL2 is libcuda.so. Therefore, users must not install any NVIDIA GPU Linux driver within WSL2. And I believe that I've already installed the driver here. That's why we're able to see all this, and yet I don't have access to it here. But I will go ahead and follow the process. Okay, so I currently have the 5.1.9516.94 driver. We do not have access to it in the WSL. So I'll go ahead and install the newest one, but I'm not very confident that this is going to work here. And I have to note that the instructions that Microsoft provides, they're pretty sparse. So it's just telling you to download the latest driver, but we also need need CUDA, I believe, to do anything useful, but maybe not with PyTorch DirectML. So either way, I am using the CUDA page, and I'll post these links in the description. So I've opened up the driver install, and let's just see. All right, well, I'm just going to proceed and see what happens. This is installing outside of the user. This is very strange, but I don't think I would have changed the install location. I'm not sure if this changed the install location automatically since it was currently installed. There was a version currently installed somewhere. Another thing, I couldn't find where it was installed. So that's one thing that makes Windows a little bit weird, but hopefully this will go through. Yeah, I'm just going to go with the graphics driver, and we're just going to hit Express, which updates the current drivers. I don't know if hopefully it finds them. So that looks like it's installing stuff when it should be updating. Probably should have just updated the driver from the command prompt or something, but that didn't happen. We'll see what happens. All right, I'll come back when it's done. This will take a minute. All right, so it finished. The screen kind of blanked out and did a little crazy dance, but opening up the control panel, we can see that it's updated here. So everything went smoothly, and I think we can continue with trying out PyTorch and Hugging Face. This has gone on a little bit long, so I might just cut it off and call it an install video, but we'll see what we can use and what we cannot use. Okay, so we got a seg fault running NVIDIA SMI, but going back to the docs, it says that NVIDIA SMI does not support all the queries, which, I mean, I think they should really say it doesn't support any of them. GPU utilization, active compute process, or some queries that are not yet supported. Modifiable state features, ECC, compute mode, persistence mode will not be supported. That's everything. I don't know what else NVIDIA SMI does, but it's not supported. Okay. Alright, so despite the segmentation fault, it's possible that things are still going. We haven't installed CUDA yet, but first, let's see if we can get by with the DirectML TensorFlow without CUDA. I don't think we're not using CUDA here. So pip. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is activate the DirectML environment. Like a fool, I forgot to do that. So pip install TensorFlow direct. Actually, I don't think this will make a difference, but it looks like it did. Wow. So, I'm foolish here, but we'll go ahead and set up the TensorFlow DirectML, and we will then follow these simple instructions to add two tensors together to make sure everything is working, and we should be good from there. So we will go ahead and open up a Python session here, and we're in Python 3.7.16, which is a little bit older than I would want, but that seems to be the default as of January of this year. So we can then import tensorflow.compat.v1 as tf. Very cool. Then we can tf.enable eager execution, tf.config proto log device placement equals true. And the difference between TensorFlow and PyTorch, as far as I can tell, is TensorFlow is a little more abstracted, and there's just a lot of methods and things like that you have to work with and memorize, which, is good or it's bad, depending on your viewpoint. I do find that when things go wrong in TensorFlow, you're stuck with a bunch of libraries and whatnot, a bunch of methods and modules or whatever that you're going to then have to parse through, and there's so many different possibilities for errors, it becomes hard to work with. So I prefer PyTorch, but it's not, there's nothing really, because I make a lot of mistakes, so that's probably why. So this went through, it worked, it did add these two tensors, one, and it, the vector addition here, so we're good to go on that. All right, so they got yanked, so I guess it's not available. Microsoft does keep it pretty sparse, so they didn't update that, which is pretty weird, but we can double check to see if maybe all the DirectML things are yanked here. This hasn't been yanked, so that doesn't work. Okay, so I'm realizing now that the audio is probably going to be pretty variant in its intensity, and I do apologize about that. But the last thing we might as well do is go ahead and install the WSL CUDA, and we should go with, I think we'll go with the deb here, and cool. So we should be able to, let me check the instructions again. All right, so let's remove the old GPG key. So we've done that, and we have the instructions here to get it installed. I hate when they include the $sign, just makes everything annoying, but go ahead and copy all of these. So we probably want the key, and it looks like we can get that with this command. graciously provided. Cool. So we got that, and I think that actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and that was actually the next commandment they had me running here anyway. So go ahead and run sudo apt-get update. All right, so we got CUDA installed, and you know that's basically it. There's nothing really else to do here. Wanted to try out some other things, but I do want to get back to Llama and try some more prompts and play around with that some more. These videos take time, and it's kind of wasting my whole day. But I hope somebody found it useful. You know, like and subscribe. I'm just gonna put this out. No fancy stuff on the video or anything like that. So